rolled over. Cabling. Hello, hello. Somebody's there. It's always good to see. A couple of folks coming in, so we'll hang on a touch longer until a few more turn up, perhaps. If any more turn up, I mean, who knows? You never know these things, do you? You hope for the best, and then you never know. You want to send me a message on there just to see that if you can hear me, that would be lovely. It's just after 8 o'clock, so if you can hear me, I sincerely hope you've got a drink in your hand, frankly, because it's been one of those weeks. Hello, Colin. Right, that's all working then. Marvellous. Welcome, Colin. Hope you're well, fella. Had a good day so far. It's been an odd one for me, really. I've been busy doing lots of stuff, and obviously trying to get some final bits and pieces sorted as far as the Christmas, it's not that far away. But I also managed to squeeze in a viewing with my son today of Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you haven't seen that yet, I'd strongly advise it. It's very, very good indeed. That's my drink so far. But do you know the weird thing? It's a very odd thing I find with cinemas anyway. People pay all that money to go and see these movies, and then they never sit in the chairs. They never sit there for long enough. There's, every 5 or 10 minutes, whole rows, what it appeared like anyway, certainly, but a number of people getting up, walking out, coming back. As soon as they came back, somebody else walked out. It's very peculiar. It's a very weird situation, I think. And of course, they make all of these announcements at the start of the movie that says, don't use your mobile phone. Make sure you're not using your mobile phone, and recording everything, etc., etc. It's very good. Yeah, I really advise going. There is, and I'm trying to think of the name of the. There's another Tom Holland trailer on there for a movie that's based on a game. Anyway, I've seen the trailer. I can't quite think of the name of it, but it looks fabulous. So that's on there as well. Or certainly where I am. I don't know whether it'll be the same where you were. But the movie itself, I hadn't seen. For some reason, I didn't see the one before. Yeah, I hadn't seen the one before, but it didn't make a blind bit of difference. It was very, very good. So that was well worth looking at. George Cottle, of course, is the stunt coordinator and second unit director on that. And as I say, I went with my son today, and he said, "Cottle, is that like the circus?" I said, "It is. He's from the same circus family." And funnily enough, back in 2001, or early part of 2002, he was doubling Pierce in Die Another Day during the pre-title sequence, and then he was doubling Zhao in the Ice Chase. So Georgie Cottle has come a long way from those early days of arriving on the stunt register to now being not only stunt coordinator, but second unit director on Spider-Man, the Spider-Man franchise. He's been involved in all of the Tom Holland pictures. And what a job, I must admit. It looks, everything's, there's so many wires these days. It's wire-orientated stuff. But a lot of gymnastics. And I put a post on Instagram during the course of the week that Tom Holland has two very, very fine doubles in Greg Townley and Luke Scott, who were magnificent. I mean, all the doubles, all the action in the picture is very, very exciting to see. And it races by. You know, it's, what is it, an hour and a bit, maybe? Hour and a half. And it does, it races by. Also, because, and I'm not going to give anything away here, right, but I think it's very important. You know if you are a Marvel fan because you know that there's going to be something either in the end credits or after the end credits. There's an additional scene. You know that. I know that. Everybody who is a fan of Marvel will know that. And we were both sat there because we knew that there was going to be an additional scene. Fair enough. And pretty much the entire place went and got up and left. And I went, where are they going? Why are these people? Do they not research the stuff beforehand? Do they not go, oh, look? Because you can find it anywhere. And not only from people who've seen it, but also from, you know, bits from reviews and stuff. So you know there's going to be something. So there is. So whatever you're doing, if you are going to see Spider-Man No Way Home, don't just leave when the movie ends. Okay? I've not given anything away. I'm merely saying don't just walk out. Obviously, it's a Marvel picture. Obviously, there will be an additional scene somewhere. Or maybe another additional scene. Ah, you see what I did there? Didn't give the cat away. Nothing. Cat is still in the bag. Cat is still in the bag. But a cracking film. Very, very good. Enjoyed it enormously. Somebody was telling me the other day about the music. Michael Giancamo, is that the way you pronounce his name? And I tell you what, it's a great score. Great score. The other Tom Holland film is Uncharted. That's the one. Uncharted. Uncharted. There's a trailer for that. That was a game. I'm not a gamer. Harry, my son, said, oh, this was a game. And he also says that they're very, very good as far as being dedicated to the game. So that many of the scenes in the picture, or certainly in the trailer, have been taken directly from the game itself. And Tom's very good in this trailer. It looks fabulous. Lots of terrific action work and stunt work going on there. So that's certainly one to keep an eye on. So, yeah, that's what I did with my afternoon. I'm tidying up a few other bits and pieces. Got some gems coming for you on the channel. And I must say a huge thank you to, I did a little live thing the other day, if you remember, just about an hour or so. And I made a plea for somebody to, you know, if anybody has any information regarding stunt challenge programs, because that's what we're trying to get them all together so that we can have them all in one place on the archive, you know, because next year, 1982, is 40 years. 40 years since Stuntman 82. And it would be terrific to try and find that. Well, it's turned up. I received it today. In fact, I received it a couple of days ago, I beg your pardon. And then we worked on it, and we've now got the final product. And I tell you what, this is what I found. And also, you know, Stuntman 83, Stunt Challenge 83 is on Christmas Day. So, you know, set a reminder. And if you're not already subscribing, please do so. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Christmas Day, you will see for the first time, the very first time since its transmission, you will see Stunt Challenge 83. And I'm not just saying this because, you know, we've put it together and the quality of this is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Bear in mind how old it is, 1983. It is as though it was from video, from VHS, recorded from the TV at the time. It is as though somebody's recorded it, probably watched it back, and then left it. And 39 years later, there we go, leave that in there. Never touched it. So the quality is magnificent, and I'm thrilled that we've got that. And Stuntman 82 is ready to go, but that will be for the new year. Because, as I say, next year is 40 years. And we're still looking for Stunt Challenge 84. It's the only one we need now. That's it. We've then got the full set, 82 through to 86. 82 to 85 on ITV, and 86 was BBC. So I know there was somebody made a comment the other day that said they had a copy of it. I have asked them to contact me regarding it, and I haven't heard from them so far. So if anybody out there in any shape or form is familiar with the concept of the program, you'll see the idea of the program obviously if you watch the other ones that we've uploaded so far. But there is out there somewhere Stunt Challenge 1984. That's the last one that we're looking for to complete this. So that's definitely, please keep your ear to the ground if you would. That'll be amazing to finally finish that. And it's all happened in the last year, really. You know, since because this particular channel has been around since what 2011 2012, but it hasn't. I mean, and back then I was doing episodes of Behind the Stunts. They're very different to what they are now, but you know, peaks and troughs as with many things. But I have found, and I must say there are many, but you're probably the same yourself when you're looking at other channels, and you find that there are very dedicated individuals out there who are providing content, providing it regularly, lots of it, and I think that's terrific. You know, you what you see is you look at it and you go, that's good. I'd like to see more of that, and they up your game, which is what happened with me. Really, I was plodding along quite happily, eased off for a period of time, and then came back almost a year to the day. It was Christmas Day. Christmas Day last year was the first podcast, and podcast was Christmas Eve, I think, and the first YouTube new episode, which was Bond orientated, was the two-man switch from Dr. No, and a look at two-man switches throughout the series. But that came out on Christmas Day last year, and since then the response has been fantastic. I mean, I must thank everybody who has had a little a finger in the pie and has thought, yeah, okay, I'll come back, I'll subscribe, I'll check on what's going on, and it's been great fun to do. And the other thing to point out, there's a lot of episodes out there on YouTube that then are put out as a podcast. Now, what I do with mine, I don't just lift the audio and drop it as a podcast. Many do that, and that's the beauty of being able to do it from Zoom chats or from Skype chats or whatever you want to do. But because I'm operating on two different mediums here, for me, I want to make them different. I don't really, if you're going to subscribe to this channel and you're going to subscribe to the podcast, I don't want them to be the same stuff. You don't want to hear the same stuff over and over again in exactly, verbatim. So what I try and do is make it different. And the podcast every Wednesday is more of a sort of overview of the movie that we're covering for that particular week, whatever it is. And there will be certain stories attached to it, and maybe stories that have come out since, the research has gone into, because they're not just thrown together, they are researched. A guy said to me the other week, he said, how do you know all this stuff? I said, well, because I ask the questions, I research it, I don't just throw it all up in the air and hope it comes down in the right place. You've got to ask the questions. If you're in doubt, particularly in my situation, if I doubt something for a moment, I've got to go to the horse's mouth, the coordinator, the performer, whatever it is I'm trying to do. So on the strength of that, The Wednesday is a kind of overview of what's going on. You'll get the trailer. You'll get snippets of dialogue, possibly from the film. You will get music from the film. It's a package. It's a whole thing that maybe will give you incentive to then go, I'll go and have a look on Friday. And you look at it then from a very different point of view, because on Friday we go more in depth. The phrase is deep dive, and that's more or less what we try and do on a Friday. We go into it and try and analyze it in a slightly different way. So that's what we try and do. So that's going to continue. Our last podcast and YouTube show of this year, Wednesday of this week, is the last podcast, and Friday of this week will be the last podcast of this year. We will be back on January the 5th with a new show, new series, new movies, and of course, Christmas being just around the corner. This week we are looking at my favourite Christmas movie, Home Alone. So that's going to be our look this week. So we're going to have a look at it on the Wednesday, and then come back on the Friday and analyse it a bit more. So I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I shall salute you as I take a swally of this rather cheeky Grigio. Put that behind your necktie. And also, this week, quite an interesting week this week, because we sadly lost Doug Robinson this week, and I kind of had a hurried tribute to put together, because I only found out in the morning, and as I said, when we were putting the thing together, we really only scratched the surface, and not even that. Dougie was an extraordinary individual, responsible for many individuals who have been on the stunt register, being involved in judo or being able to understand judo, all the disciplines that are required in order to have this particular martial art. And Doug and his brother Joe, of course, if you're a Bond fan, was Peter Franks in Diamonds Are Forever, and the two of them had this judoquai, where they would get guys and girls to come in and learn about judo and want to know about judo and improve their ability and their stamina. Rocky Taylor was a very good example of an individual who, had been in a situation whereby he found himself. His dad said, judo's good for you. You want to try judo. It's a new sport coming in, which it was back then. Great car chase film. Just reading this. Hillbilly Ben. Hello, friend. Great car chase, 70s. Go back to that for a second. I didn't catch all of that. I'm trying to get the... Oh, here we go. Right, there it is. Speed Trap. Yeah, Joe Don Baker and Tyne Daly. Have you ever seen it? Must have employed plenty of stuntmen. Now, is that the one? What year was it? 70s. Could that be, and give me a yes or no on this, at the end of the sequence, or at the end of this particular car sequence, it involves Joe Don Baker's car travelling across a train line, and a train is arriving at the same time. That's, when you mentioned that, that's what I've got in my head. If that's correct, would you let me know? Otherwise, no, I haven't seen it, and I am going to have to check it out. Tyne Daly, everybody knows Tyne Daly is Lacey and Cagney and Lacey, but she was, really busy during that period. She was in what Clint Eastwood, was it The Enforcer she was in? 77. Okay, I'll have to check it out if that's the case. But yeah, during that period, she was quite busy. She was in a Clint Eastwood picture. It was a Dirty Harry picture, I think it might have been. Yeah, she's in a number of pictures. She's a very busy actress. So, yeah, with reference to judo and Dougie Robinson, they had this judoquai, and Rocky Taylor, his dad Larry, who was an actor and stunt actor, said, "Look, this is good for you. This is a new sport coming in," which it was. It was the early 60s. and he picked it up very quickly and got to black belt very quickly. And on the strength of that, I mean, Dougie and Joe were said, you could definitely. Hello, my dear. How are you? I can never pronounce your handle correctly. Don't want to mispronounce it. You can understand why. They wanted to send him to the Olympics. I mean, they thought that he was really really good. Now coming from these guys, that was big. Dougie and Joe had also done the self defense book, if you remember, with Honor Blackman, because she was doing lots of live stuff at the time on the Avengers, and fighting with wrestlers like Jackie Pallow and people of that nature. Oh, right, okay. FC United Lady. That's much simpler. If I'd have thought of that, because I didn't read that, that's the problem. You go back to these things, you go, right, I'm going to pronounce this. You go, oh, no, I can't pronounce that. FC United Lady. Hello to you. It's lovely to see you. FC United Lady. You're in Ireland. Well, am I right in saying that? That's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. So, yeah, we lost Dougie in the week. There is information which I'll try and get it up on my laptop here, but I know I have been sent information from the family in connection. See, I was right. You see, I was right. I've been sent information in regards to no, that's the funeral. I'm wondering. So I've got details of the funeral. What I will do is I will double check the information and see if there is a. It's this Friday, 21st of January. So I will try and find information if there is any charity that Dougie was particularly interested in, or if you would like to. It'll be no flowers, I would have thought, at this current climate. So I'll get some details and pass that around, and then hopefully we'll be able to donate, do something, just in Dougie's memory. But a great age, Dougie, 91. Hello, Martin. How you doing? I'm very well, thank you. I've got a glass of wine in my hand, so I'm super fine at this stage. So 91, a great age, and Dougie was in all sorts of bits and pieces. He was Empire Strikes Back. He was in, one of the stormtroopers in that, and in Star Wars, the original Star Wars as well. And just along with those. Oh, I see. Yes, maybe it is. Yeah, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. We're just correcting ourselves as far as that train sequence and the Joe Don Baker thing. So yeah, he sadly left us during the week, which was a great shame. But he, I was at his house one day. And he was making. We were doing an interview with him. Myself and Dave Williams were doing an interview with him for a magazine I was running at the time called Stunts Magazine, which I am going to try and get rid of some copies. So I must admit, I am trying to sort that out. I've got some old copies of that magazine. The Equity Stunt Register at the time, Chris Webb was the chairman of that, and he was very good in distributing some of these magazines that I was writing at the time, and I've still got some left over. So that'll be something for the new year as well. So if you're keen on that, drop me an email. Behind the Stunts 007 at gmail.com. Behind the Stunts 007 at gmail.com, and maybe we'll sort something out for you. Yes, I did. Maybe I did. I put. It went to 2 issues. Somebody remembered their FCU. Had remembered that she'd seen something online regarding it. So Dougie sadly no longer with us. But this we went to do this interview. and he did this extraordinary thing. And you know, when you hear something for almost the first time, or you see something for the first time, and you kind of never forget it. And I had photographs taken before, but he said what you want is that immediacy, that moment. And what he did was he turned away and counted three, two, one, bang, and that was the photo there. And it's just a moment in time, and we got some terrific shots, I must admit. And then he posed for a few without turning, and they were different. And I never really understood what that was, but he understood that moment, that initial right now, and that's the photograph we took. So he was very good in that respect. I'm just going to check. There's a couple more messages coming here. Linda, thank you, Linda. That's much easier for me. The book will be available on Kindle. Yes, it will be available on Kindle. It will be available. My understanding, and again, I don't want to sound terribly vague about this, but it will be available on Kindle and audiobook. Obviously, it will be available in hardback. And if we are good and we get rid of plenty, it might have a second run. That is something that you always look for when you're trying to write a book. And so the title, of course, has changed, as you well know. It was Ever Heard of Eva Knievel, and now is Stunts, Bond Stunts. Again, copyright options and various other bits and pieces. So yes, a lot of people have a lot of people have said that there's. In fact, I read something the other day from was it HarperCollins? I think somebody had said from HarperCollins and made some comment in the. It was a broadsheet, so Times or Guardian, one or t'other, and they said that physical sales of books were lower than they had been for quite some time, and on the strength of that, they had been using Kindle and the mediums of that. Audiobook sales are going through the roof, of course, and that's something that will be worked on as well. So there's all of that. So yes, it was interesting to come away with that. But yeah, Dougie, an extraordinary individual. So he will be missed, and we'll keep you posted with any further developments. Yeah, so that's the. Somebody said to me when they said, "What's your favourite Christmas movie?" And I always say Home Alone, because it is. I remember seeing it at the time, absolutely loving it. And you know that thing that people do, when I say people, I mean, production companies and studios. They, oh, you have a light. Oh, do you really? We have such a. Oh, I see. Oh, well, that's it. Yeah, nobody can get out to bookshops. Well, it's a bit looser here, to be fair. And anyway, we'll get on to lockdown in a minute, because I can see that coming. I wouldn't be at all surprised. So yeah, studios do that thing where they make a movie and they go, yes, that was magnificent. Let's pencil in a sequel. And the second movie, there's really, you can count. I think you can count on one hand movies that were very good first time round. Then the second picture came out and was as good or on par with, and you would struggle. I think you would struggle. For me, Home Alone 1 and 2 are very good. The other 26 movies are a bit poor, but the first two, very good. Jaws 1 and 2, always enjoyed Jaws, always enjoyed the second one. Superman 1 and 2. All right, they were filmed at the same time, back to back, understood. And that's, oh, blimey. That might be about the size of it, really. For me, really, when you're referring to sequels anyway, so certainly those I think would be very good. But somebody said to me, why? And they're doing this whole thing about those films that are now classed as Christmas movies, Die Hard, for instance, and things of that nature. Yeah, you see, they are, Martin. I knew I'd have a fan there. Now, what else did you say? I missed that one earlier. It said, did I see the Top Gear Eddie Kidd special? I remember Eddie. Sorry, apologies. I remember Eddie when I was... Yeah, now, Eddie Kidd, we touched on this briefly the other day on the basis of the line drawn between stuntman and daredevil, and of course Eddie made that transition from being a daredevil to being a professional stuntman in film and television, and I saw him. He came to Loughborough in Leicestershire, and he performed a live show jumping over people, a lot of people jumping back in the 80s. This was 82, 83 maybe. So he was jumping people. He was doing bunny hops. Do you remember? I had a Grifter, which was my bike. It was too heavy for bunny hops, but bunny hops were doable. But he was doing it on a motorcycle. And I tell you what inspired it probably at the time was there was a television show called Kickstart. Do you remember Kickstart? Peter Purvis was the presenter. And it was a bit like a trial to get from A to B and beat the clock and all that sort of stuff. So on the strength of that, that's probably where this type of show came from. And he did jump vehicles during the course of that. He did, what did he do? British Telecom vans. End to end, 2 yellow British Telecom vans end to end, ramp to ground, and then at the end of the show there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, I think, side by side, ramp to ramp. So we saw him do that, and I must, you look at this and you think this guy's fantastic. I mean, he's up close. It was a very excitable crowd. People wanted to see that. And then, of course, that terrible accident that he had, which was a biker do, I seem to remember. It's an earworm, Ben. That's the theme to Kickstart. You get it stuck in there, but yeah, he it was a biker do. It was a little wet underfoot, and the landing area. And again, this is the only issue with a lot of these bits and pieces. You've got to try and understand it from a professional stunt performer's point of view. Unless, even if the script says lands uphill, you maybe wouldn't do it uphill. You'd land it on flat, and then the elevation would be changed from a perspective point of view. But, he jumped cars or vans or whatever he jumped, and the landing was uphill. Of course, when you come down, the suspension, kicks in. And, of course, he presumably met the handlebars on the way up, which made him black out possibly for a moment or two, and then sailed over the top of the crest of this rise, and fell the other side and landed very heavily. And I don't know, it's never sat right with me. It's a terrible accident, a preventable accident, which sadly, nobody saw at the time, or nobody maybe predicted that it would happen. So I will always remember him for doing those incredible jump offs with Robbie Knievel, and doing the no hands jumps, and they had competitions between them. I seem to remember competitions between them, and he was the Black Knight. It was fantastic. Amazing stuff. And of course, some of his film work, in particular Hanover Street, An Extraordinary Leap, which was he was doubling Harrison Ford with Christopher Plummer on the back, and then that remarkable jump across the viaduct, which was even more extraordinary, and that's the slow down footage is spectacular. So yeah, tricky. I only saw. Did I see the whole show? I think I saw part of it, and I've got it. I've got it to watch. Motocross, was it motocross? I suppose they're motocross bikes. Yeah. Route the area where they were doing this particular live show wasn't big enough for Route Master buses, so yeah, it was. But yes, I remember him doing that at one time. Kickstart. You had it on the Commodore 64. Do you remember the Commodore 64? We're having a nostalgic 5 minutes here. The Commodore 64 used to load games by cassette, and you'd have to put the cassette in, close the cassette down, press play and whatever else you used to have to press, and then go away for 45 minutes and come back while it loaded. I was a football fan in those days. I used to have Football Manager. That was one of my favourite games. In hindsight, it's very weird because you'd have the cassette, you'd load the thing, you'd go off, you'd come back like 40 minutes later and then watch highlights. I mean, it was a very weird thing. It was strategy, I think, more than anything. Yeah, I think it's. I don't think there's the accident itself. I think there is some footage around somewhere, but I believe it was a biker do. But you know, there are, and I'm always interested about the rules and regulations as far as posting certain things on YouTube is concerned, because there are things that are brought to my attention by YouTube that says, oh, just to let you know, we're not sure you should be posting this or whatever it is. Because I had something the other day, which was I'd posted a. Many moons ago, I had posted a fire gag video, 2 or 3 minutes of some of my favourite fire jobs that I'd seen, and then again with high falls. There was a high fall one as well, and I got a thing from that was months ago. Last year, in fact, I think it was, and I got a notification from YouTube saying, we'd like to talk to you about this. I said, well, now? It's a long time ago since that was posted. And I wonder maybe if somebody since then or somebody's child has looked at it, I mean, it makes it very clear they're not for children. So if that is the case, I don't know how much more of it I can do from this end. But you do see, going back to the motorcycle accident, that there are accidents on there from daredevils who are jumping buses, or they're jumping or whatever they're jumping, and it doesn't go well, and there's very clearly evidence of an accident, a very serious accident, and so you do have to question, I think anyway, some of the issues that possibly YouTube need to look into. It's a plea, YouTube, if you're watching, if you're listening, of course you're listening and watching, to look into this further, and just maybe be an extra bit vigilant with some of the posts that go on here. Right. No, that's interesting. Linda was just, I don't know whether you saw that there, but Linda was just saying that she had an account and lost her account originally on the basis of copyright. Further down the line, I was in the same boat, and I've been lucky so far that I've not had that 3 strikes. You get 3 strikes and that's you done. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So she was said she was posting adverts on behalf of these audiobooks, but thank you, Martin. Martin just saying that the Stunt Challenge 85 episode was enjoyable. It is enjoyable, and again, I've had an awful lot of people saying, well, the sound's a bit rubbish, and you've got to work with what you work with. I can't magic the sound or make it massively better. I can improve it to a point, and I say I've had to dive in and add a few extra bits and pieces in there just to make sure that everything clears itself up, so it's coherent. There's a couple of bits and pieces there that the sound was quite poor, unfortunately, but that's just the sources that we get them from, and the fact that these the video cassettes are they're very good, and the hard wearing, But then when you don't use them for long periods of time, because people move on from video cassette to DVD and then DVD to Blu-ray, they lie dormant, and they become delicate to a point where you really, you have to be very, very careful about playing them in case you do they run off the spool. That used to happen a lot with them. Not the Scotch tapes. Scotch tapes were pretty good, although the 180, which was the 3 hour, that was fine if you were recording everything at normal speed, right? If you recorded something at long play, so you got a 3 hour cassette that you could then turn into a 6 hour cassette because you're doubling the length of it, didn't like it. It wasn't very keen on certain occasions, and would the tape spool would loosen, and there would be errors on the picture and tears and bits and pieces. But I must say, what we've come up with so far has been very good. That was an example, the Stunt Challenge 85, but it didn't detract from the enjoyment of it. And all of the gags, particularly, you can see them clearly. It's just some of the interview material that's a bit rough in places, but we've tried to do our very best with it. Maybe, who knows, maybe later on down the line somebody will be able to clear it up and make it extra special. We don't know. So that's quite nice as far as that's concerned. But yeah, they're amazing. I always remember them as I was a kid. It was the most fascinating thing to watch because we'd never seen anything like that before. There wasn't anything. Clapperboard, if you remember Chris Kelly and Clapperboard, used to go behind the scene. Well, that exactly. Linda's just said, considering the age of the tape, I've done very well. Which, that's the reason you think. I think it's just because you do your very best and try and get it copied as quickly as you possibly can. But Clapperboard used to go behind the scenes from time to time. I have on the channel, there is I think it's in DVD spots or TV spots. I think it is as a playlist, and there's a moment on there from Clapperboard during the filming of For Your Eyes Only, where Chris Kelly interviews Bob Simmons about some of the stunt work that's taking place on the picture, and it's the fight at the end of the picture on the St. Cyril's, the old monastery there, and it's at Palmer Studios, but they have Martin Grace doubling Roger Moore, and Paul Weston is playing one of the guards who Bond has a fight with, comes through the window and lands on the seat. There's it's like a chaise longue is what it. That's the first thing I thought about it. The chaise longue, and that's on there too. So, but that's the kind of thing that they used to do, but very rarely, very rarely. And then in the documentary, in the stunt documentary playlist, Kelly Vision. If you haven't seen that, again, Chris Kelly, ITV this time instead of BBC, and behind the scenes on a picture that Chris wrote. He wrote and produced it, called The Zero Option, and it's a terrific look at one of my heroes, stuntman Roy Alon, who was the stunt coordinator on the show. And in particular, they talked to him, they talked to Dave Bickers, and watching some of the stunt guys rehearsing some of their work, and again in particular Tip Tipping and Andy Bradford, who do this extraordinary aerial fight at the end of the picture. So that's on there as well. And they were great. Those were the type of things, but you very rarely used to see behind the scenes stuff. So the idea of trying to create something for the YouTube channel, clip based, as many of the bits and pieces are, I try and find full programs if I can. And I do get inquiries from people saying, do you have this? And if not, well, I'll try and find it from somewhere, So Martin says, stunt work in the Bond movies, particularly favourite of mine. The motorbike stunt in the pre-title sequence of No Time to Die. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was. I must admit, though, and I don't know whether you feel the same way, we kind of saw all of it. Do you remember? We kind of saw all of it in the trailer and in some initial clips. and for the amount of work that they'd done in conjunction with Triumph, and Triumph, of course, were in there from a fairly early stage as developmental in connection with these motorcycles. I thought that maybe the bike was, and there was a fair amount of that chase that was cut down, admittedly. Now that's true. The bike part itself was remarkable. I mean, it really was very, very good. Great use of the location. Of course, Matera is a place where everybody wants to go, and have a look at these locations. But yeah, very good. The action on the Bonds has always been first class. It's always been right there, and it's always been the one that has caused others to push the boat a bit further, push the boundaries, go further, go faster. Because Bond has done it, well, we want to go slightly faster. Of course, we had this conversation the other day about Mission Impossible, and there will be a podcast about that at some point during the course of the year. There will also be, on the basis of the conversation we had the other day, there'll also be a chat in regards to actors who do their own stunt work. So we'll explore that as well, because I think that's got legs, and I think the combination of deciphering one from the other. The one regret I had about Nintendo is watching the trailers. Yep, admittedly, but if you're a fan, you can't help really doing that. The teaser. I know that Chris Wright from James Bond Radio, if you were a fan of theirs, he went what's referred to as dark. He went dark on the movie. During that period where it was being made, there was stuff in the newspaper, the trailers. He saw nothing, absolutely nothing from start to finish. I'm not sure I could do that. I genuinely don't believe I could do that. But he did that and was able to provide. Let me just read this from Linda, who you type a great deal, Linda, in a very short space of time. It disappears off my screen. Who was the stunt coordinator on No Time to Die? Well, answer that firstly. No, it wasn't Gary Powell. Gary Powell had done the first four: Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, and Spectre. So he did those first four, and Lee Morrison was brought in as a stunt coordinator on No Time to Die with Olivier Schneider and the G-Men, which is his stunt organisation, and they produced the action. Lee's a motorcycle man, been in the business many years. Olivier, of course, you'll be familiar with his work in conjunction with probably his most famous work, I guess, would be Taken. And those incredible fight scenes that Liam Neeson was involved in those early days. So, that type of stuff. So very, very good as far as that was concerned. Let me go back to your point, Linda. You haven't seen it yet. Okay, going to rent Spectre online between Christmas. Okay, because you can buy it now. You can buy it. It is out to buy. Should you feel the urge to do so, add it to your collection. Martin says Tom Cruise comes to mind when well, exactly, the TC question, and again we had this conversation the other day, so that's probably what sparked the whole thing off, really. But what Tom Cruise does now on the basis of Mission Impossible and all of the movies that he's involved in, you have to go back and find out where they originated from. All of this action, the reason that these action genre pictures work is because James Bond. Right, there we are. That's your answer. And that's the seed. The seed that was sown back in 1962, and that Bob Simmons and George Leach took, and, every movie was better, action-wise, better, and continued to better itself until, you now have situations where sky's the limit. Still a massive amount of doing everything for real. You can have your CGI. CGI helps enormously with lots of bits and pieces, but there's still, you still do it for real. You still do the best you can as far as that's concerned. And that's again, bringing in key players to to stunt teams, as we talked about earlier when I was referring to Spider-Man No Way Home. Georgie Cottle as the coordinator, and Tom Holland has two fabulous doubles, Greg Townley and Luke Scott, who make him look amazing, and that's exactly what you want. There's gymnastics with the pair of them, there's extended wire work with the pair of them, and all of that type of stuff is remarkable. It really is. So very, very good as far as that's concerned. And if you haven't seen that, I think Martin said he was going. If anybody else hasn't seen it, you should go and see it. It's very, very good indeed. Super. So that's really the plan, and also I say, this we kind of moved along with the YouTube channel to where we are now. Figures aren't everything. I'm aware that figures aren't anything. I don't want to get tied down with figures. A lot of people do. Oh, my channel's not doing very well. I've only got this much, and I've only got these many people. What I've got, which I'm very thrilled about, is a kind of dedicated following of people who are really interested in action, who keep coming back and coming back. And certainly as far as the podcast and the YouTube show is concerned, that's increased along the way, because I think I only started back in 2011 or 12. I think I probably, by the time I got to last year, Christmas of last year, I had probably 3,000 followers, which is nothing to be sniffed at. Don't tell I'm absolutely thrilled that 3,000 people have gone to the trouble of subscribing. That's amazing. Now, on the basis of the stuff that we're producing, it's doubled, and that's very exciting too. So there's plenty more scope as far as that's concerned. But the most important thing with all of this is content. And if you get the right content, if I see something that I think is just great, and I think that you would like, then I'm gonna post it. Of course I am. And I'm going to try and find it and get brand new material. That's the key to all of this. And you sometimes get slightly disheartened. I know some people do. I know some people do that. My kids tell Martin, is that right? 7,500. That's not bad at all. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, your children, for doing the detective work there. You see, videos go up, and 10 minutes later, after it's gone up, all of a sudden it's been viewed by 8,000 people. You go, really? How's that happened? Well, there's a procedure to the whole thing. There's a way in which, you attract parties in by your content. If you have regular, decent content, people come back. They want more and more. That's how this happens. So, I'm thrilled with the amount of people that so far have said, "Yep, we'll stick with you." And on the strength of that, there is more to come. There's plenty more. You've seen what we've done over a relatively short space of time, simply by finding videos from archive that haven't been seen for a long time. Hello, it's Juha from Sweden. I think that's very kind of you. Let me just see what that, because it disappeared off my screen. I think what you're doing is great job with just loving your stuff. You're really doing the best to give us stunt lovers the best material. You're very kind. Thank you very much indeed for that. And that's the plan. If I can do as much as I can do, and people are thrilled with it, then that's fantastic. I saw a View to Kill Octopussy, read the magazine James Bond Behind the Scenes, and read Martin Grace. Yes, Martin Grace, some great Martin Grace stuff coming up, incidentally. So you won't want to miss that. Martin's in fine form on these stunt challenge videos, which we've got coming up. Remember, of course, Christmas Day is Stunt Challenge 83. Don't miss that. And Stuntman 82 is coming in the new year, because it will be the 40th anniversary. And there's lots of other bits and pieces, lots of other good stuff coming along. I find that's a good point. Martin's made a very interesting point there. He finds himself watching YouTube more than terrestrial TV or ordinary TV. I don't have an alternative because I don't have a TV. That's by choice. I find that if I had a television, I would probably just flick channels. I love to have a good skip round and see what nonsense is being on this channel as opposed to the rest. And you really have to sift through the poor stuff to find the good stuff, you know. And you don't have a TV at all. See, Linda's in the same boat, so we know exactly, sister, we know exactly what's going on there. And because you have a laptop, you have a computer, you can choose the iPlayer and all the other bits and pieces, Netflix, Disney, plus all of that sort of stuff. Choice is there. Choice is yours now. There's our Dave. Look. Do you have all of the stuff now? That Bond pics who just popped up here. That's Dave Williams. Dave Williams, I was referring to earlier, if you remember. Dave, I was telling the people watching, in regards to our visit to Dougie Robinson, and where he was giving you and us a lesson in how to take the perfect photograph when he was doing that. 3, 2, 1, bang! That thing. So I have all of them except 84. In answer to your question now. 83 goes out Christmas Day, 82 will be in the new year, and we just need 84 to make up the set. David is living in Montana. He's the horse whisperer, you know. It was good enough for Robert Redford, it's good enough for him. So he's in snowy Montana at the moment. But Dave, if you, with your many sources, if you're in a position to track down Stunt Challenge 84, that'd be super. And we will add that to our archive, and then I can have a long lie down, because I've only been searching for them for about 20 years. So that would be lovely. So yeah, good stuff that. And I've always, I must say, I always thought that, you know, TV's fine, but because of the amount of choice, you can watch it on your phone, you can watch it on your laptop. It doesn't matter what it is. It's accessible these days. You watch it anyway, and so there are still families who sit around in the evening and watch the TV. The same families who sit around and have dinner at the table every evening, and fair play to them for that. But there are many families who don't. Many individuals, you know, who don't. My family, for instance, we don't. I think that's safe to say. I do a great deal of work here in the office, and a large proportion of that is with YouTube and various other bits and pieces. But yes, there's stuff on YouTube that I it's fascinating. I love it. It's my medium. It really is. I thought I had some of the programs on VHS, but looking at my list, I can't find them. Well, you know, I seem to remember. I think we got 85. Because we got it from Nick Wilkinson, if I'm not mistaken. But we have 85 now. Although if there is no, we have 85. Yeah. So we're all of them except 84. And it would be lovely to make up the set. That's the plan. So that's the idea. And I sincerely hope that that you enjoy everything that goes on in the channel. I say we try and get as much new material to you as we possibly can. Some good stuff coming in the new year. For those Indiana Jones fans, we're having a look at the Jones pictures. We are there's Simon Hancock. Hi, have you interviewed Paul Weston? I have. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Paul on a number of occasions, and he's been very good in respect to the book. I did some work for the British Stunt Register a number of years ago in connection with the stunt ball, which used to happen on a yearly basis and hasn't, obviously, for varying reasons. But I was asked to do some work there. Paul's terrific, and I must say the book, I couldn't have done the book. I couldn't have even considered doing anything that would have scratched the surface if people like Paul, Vic Armstrong, you know, names like this, if they hadn't said, give me a ring, you know, we'll go for whatever you need, just let me know. And I've been lucky enough to be in a situation where I can do that. And Paul's got some terrific stories about everything. But again, he's one of those guys who back then, to coin a phrase, fell into the business by being. But yes, the tiger story. Not quite sure we can go through that at this stage, but yes, the tiger story. There, in fact, there's also I interviewed Terry Leonard a number of years ago, and he told me an extraordinary story in connection with Apocalypse Now, which may well come out later on in the year. I think the Terry, as you know, he was another one who was very good in. We did a piece on The Wind and the Lion, if you remember. So yeah, that's some good stuff. But really, a case of being able to bring all this stuff to you, and to hope that you've enjoyed what we've done over the last 12 months. And it has literally been, for those people who just joined us, I was saying earlier, it was just 12 months ago, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, when we had our first podcast and YouTube show. And it has grown over the last 12 months. So I want to thank everybody for your support. I wish you and your families all a very merry and successful year 22 next year, if we get out. Have you been planning for Christmas? Are you able to plan for Christmas? Because we don't know what we're doing, do you? We don't know what the state of play is at the present time. Is cheese and wine allowed? Have we moved on to something else? How many people are you allowed to have in one place at one time? Indoors, outdoors? That's not been confirmed at the moment. I suppose we're taking every day as it comes. But whatever it is you're doing, please stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you all again next year. Remember, this Wednesday and this Friday, the last 2 episodes. The podcast on the Wednesday, Home Alone, and on Friday will be Home Alone. That will be the last one for this year. And we will be back on January the 5th with more. I'm going to take a little time off because, everything hurts. My brain hurts. Thank you, Linda, and the very best to you and to everybody on here this evening. Thank you for joining me for a brief chat, and I hope that you enjoy your Christmas and that Santa brings you everything that you've wanted. If you've been good, have you been good? No? I'll take your word for it. But yes, thank you very much indeed, and keep coming back, and we'll see you next year. Look after yourself. Take care. Bye for now.